So my name is Steve Knutson. I want to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting to discuss the traffic calming plan for Newington Road. And tonight from FCDOT, Ryan O'Carroll and Nicole Machakwe will be joining. And from the Mount Vernon District Supervisor's Office, we have Diego Rodriguez Cabrera. I think Ryan has a presentation to run through. And after he goes to the presentation, we'll open the meeting up to any comments or questions from the community. And Diego, and also if any of the task force members are logged on to tonight's meeting, they can introduce themselves during the Q&A following the presentation. Diego, do you have anything that you would like to add before we start?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We have been working on this for a while now, and some of you may know my predecessor, Peyton Smith. I guess I would just like to stress the congratulations as to how far we've gotten in the process, and just to keep moving the process forward. So thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Diego. And Ryan, if you're ready, you can go ahead and start the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight we are going to discuss the traffic calming program for Newington Road. And before I get started, can everyone see my screen? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So please note that this session is being recorded and may be shared on social media. Please hold all questions until the end of the presentation, and instructions for how to ask your questions will be provided at the end of the presentation. So today we are here to explain the traffic calming process, provide an opportunity for community feedback, and answer any questions anyone may have. So what is traffic calming? Traffic calming is the installation of physical devices to reduce vehicle speed. These devices can either be vertical or horizontal. Vertical devices are driven over, such as the speed hump shown in the upper left-hand corner. Horizontal devices can be driven around, such as the raised median island shown in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Both types of devices make the roadway safer for drivers and pedestrians. Please note that through this process, we are not permitted to install stop signs. Here we have charts and images showing the effects of decreased speed. As speed decreases, visual acuity, field of vision, and depth perception increase. Also, with reduced speed, we can see a decrease in stopping distance. Here is a map displaying traffic calming projects across Fairfax County. With over 279 projects resulting in more than 665 devices countywide, every district has implemented traffic calming measures. The chances that you have driven over one are quite high. Fairfax County Department of Transportation, FCDOT, and the District Supervisor's Office collaborate with citizens on all community-initiated projects. The program can be broken into 5 steps. Step 1 is project initiation. Step 2 is plan development. Step 3 is community engagement. Step 4 is ballot phase. And the final step, step 5, is project installation. All traffic calming projects are community initiated. The process begins with a request from the community to the supervisor's office. Once the request is received, FCDOT will complete a basic eligibility review. If eligible, FCDOT will then conduct a traffic study. And if the eligibility and traffic study requirements are met, the community will then form a task force. To meet basic eligibility requirements, the roadway must be VDOT maintained, have a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, be functionally classified as local, collector, or arterial, and if it is collector or arterial, it needs to be a residential street. Once passing basic eligibility requirements, we move on to conduct a traffic study. For the volume criteria, we need between 500 to 6,000 vehicles in 24 hours both directions combined. For Newington Road, the volume was 4,932 vehicles, which meets the requirement. For speed criteria, the recorded 85th percentile speed must be greater than or equal to 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. This means that at least 15% of vehicles must be traveling at 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit or faster in at least one direction of travel. The 85th percentile speed in the eastbound lane was 38 miles per hour, and in the westbound lane was 40 miles per hour, which means that Newington Road met the speed criteria in both the eastbound and westbound lanes. The next step is plan development. FCDOT will conduct a site visit in the field in order to develop a draft plan. Once a draft plan has been developed, FCDOT will meet with the task force to obtain feedback and amend the plan if necessary. Then once the task force is satisfied with the draft plan, property owners directly adjacent to any proposed measures must sign off on the device placement before proceeding to the next step of the project. There are device placement requirements for vertical devices. Devices must be a minimum of 300 feet between measures and from existing stop conditions, a minimum of 150 feet from intersections, a minimum 150 feet for continuous sight distance, and it also has to fit within the existing roadway. So we must consider driveways, manholes, utilities, and the grade of the road. So based on those requirements, we created a field map that gives us an idea of where we can place a device. Highlighted in green are possible locations along Newington Road. After reviewing the field map, we then conduct a field review to see if a device can fit on the existing roadway. Based on available options in our site visit, FCDOT is able to propose 4 speed humps and 1 speed table along Newington Road. The listed addresses are those of property owners who signed the adjacent property forms, APFs, because the devices are directly adjacent to their property. Here we have the speed hump schematic. The speed hump is 12 feet long and is 3 inches high at center. There will be white chevrons. There will be a white chevron in each travel lane and speed hump signs with a recommended speed of 15 miles per hour on each side of the speed hump. This is a larger image of what a speed hump would look like from the side of the street, with it being 12 feet in length and 3 inches high at center. And here we have the speed table. The speed table is 22 feet long and 3 inches high at center. There will also be white chevrons and a speed hump sign on each side of the speed hump with a recommended speed of 15 miles per hour on each side. Step 3 is the community meeting, which is where we are today. At this stage, FCDOT presents the plan to the community to gather feedback. Based on this feedback, the task force will decide whether to amend the plan or move forward to the next stage. If the task force decides to move forward, we move to the ballot phase. During the ballot phase, each occupied property in the ballot area will receive 1 vote and send it directly to the district supervisor's office. The ballot period will be open for a minimum of 3 weeks. The supervisor's office will tally the votes and notify the task force of the result. On this slide, we have an example of a ballot. The proposed devices will be listed on the ballot and the community will be voting on the entire plan. The task force is responsible for distributing the ballot packages to everyone in the ballot area. There are 3 ways to return your ballot by the deadline. You can mail in your ballot directly to the district supervisor's office. You can hand deliver it directly to the district supervisor's office, or you can email it directly to the district supervisor's office. Please note that all ballots must be turned in directly to the district supervisor's office using one of these three methods. Any ballots collected by the task force will not be counted. Here we have the ballot area map for Newington Road. There are 216 ballots. In order for the proposed plan to move forward, we will need greater than 50% of all occupied properties to vote in favor. So then we will need 109 yes votes. And if the required number of yes votes are met, we move forward to step 5, which is project installation. The traffic calming plan will be presented to the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for endorsement, and the resolution will be sent to VDOT. Once endorsed and VDOT accepts the resolution, FCDOT will work with Department of Public Works and Environmental Services to schedule installation. Finally, the traffic measures outlined in the plan will be installed. After tonight's meeting, the task force will need to follow these next steps. The task force determines and notifies Fairfax County if they would like to move forward with the presented plan. The task force in the supervisor's office will decide and notify FCDOT if ballots in the ballot area are to be distributed to the homeowners or the occupants. Task force will receive the ballot cover letter and will complete the form as directed by FCDOT. The task force sends the completed ballot cover letter to FCDOT for approval. Once approved, they will receive the verified ballot package. And for the final step, the task force will need to print and distribute the ballots to all homes in the ballot area. This concludes the presentation. Now we can move forward to questions and answers portion of this meeting tonight. You have two options to ask your questions, chat or speak. Once the chat item is activated on Teams, you can use it by typing your question. If you want to speak, please click the raise your hand icon, and once the host calls on you to speak, you can unmute yourself by clicking on the mic icon or pressing Control-Shift-M on your keyboard. Please lower your hand once you are done asking your questions, please. If you are on the phone, please press *5 to raise your hand. And when it is your turn to speak and the host calls on you to speak, press *6 to unmute yourself and ask your question. Please, once you are finished, press *5 again to lower your hand. Now we can move forward to questions and answers.
Okay, we have a hand raised from Chris. Chris, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, seems he can't, so let me go ahead and see if I can unmute you on my end. No, I can't. So what I would do is check your settings just to make sure that it's connected to the laptop microphone. And you can, we're up on the right-hand side of your screen, it should show mic as we see in that little icon that we have on the screen right now. And there's a little drop-down arrow. I would click on that and see if you have it on the right settings. If you still can't get it to work, feel free to write in the chat. Okay, so while he's writing, we'll go ahead and move on to Todd. Todd, you have your hand raised. Can you unmute yourself? Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can we go back to the slide of the ballot area?
Sure.
And I'm just curious, how is this determined? The reason I ask is I live one block in this map, one block to the south on Hamilton Road, which is just underneath the graphic at the bottom of the screen. And I'm just kind of curious how Catskill and Bulkley Road, all these other roads are included, but not Hamilton Road or Accotink Road.
Yeah, so I mean, Hamilton and Accotink do have direct access onto Telegraph Road, and the Buckley and Catskill and Franklin all have to connect through Newington Road to reach the greater road network. So that's why those on the north side are included, and the ones on the south side weren't included in this ballot process.
But the roads on the south side do not have northbound access to Telegraph without going to Newington Road. They can access Telegraph Road, but only southbound.
Right. So we were just trying to make, a point of contact to the greater network. And if we can do that, then, we try to consider, narrowing down that ballot area. Keep it with the people that are, have to use the road and those that live on it.
Right. Yeah. My main concern living on Hamilton Road is we see a good bit of cut through traffic of people coming up Newington Road, actually turn right on Ona and then up on Hamilton to get the telegraph. So they kind of cut through the neighborhood, circumventing Newington Road. And that's primarily my main concern, is that if we put these speed tables or humps on Newington, that we might actually increase traffic, cut through traffic on Ona and Hamilton, trying to circumvent the traffic calming measures. So anyhow, just find this very informative, and thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Todd. So if you're done with your question, if you don't mind lowering your hand, so if you do have another question along the way, I can tell that you're going to ask another question. So Chris does write in the chat, what is the ballot comprised of? Is there an address, stamped envelope?
So, you know, that's basically up to the task force. We do the format for our ballot is kind of like a bifold. So Ryan has it up on the screen right now. It would have the ballot information on one side of the piece of paper, and then you can fold it in half. And on the other side will be the mailing address for the supervisor's office. So then all that would be needed is for that to be taped shut, and then you know, a stamp placed on the mailer and sent back to the supervisor's office. So that's basically the easiest way to do the ballot return as far as mailing it is concerned.
And there, to feed off of that, Steve, there are other documents that need to be sent out along with the ballot. So you will need the ballot cover letter, the ballot itself, the map of the finalized plan, or the plan that we're moving forward to ballot that we're showing this evening, and then a schematic of the device types that have chosen to be moved forward. So it's not just the ballot, you're going to have to include other documents as well. And Chris says, so if we distribute, we can add stamps.
That is correct. Yes, you can place a stamp on that, or you can include an envelope with, you know, the stamp on it and the address to the supervisor's office on it. Also, we have started running an optional meeting after this meeting for the task force to just go over the ballot process if the task force decides to go forward to the ballot process. And you know, we can go into a little bit more detail over everything that needs to be done for that process. So we would like to meet again with the task force. It takes about a half an hour. We have a couple of slides that we can run through and also send out to you, which would give you, you know, greater detail and direction of getting this ballot packet out. So if the task force is willing to do that, we'll reach back out to the Mount Vernon office and coordinate that meeting time.
Okay, and Julie, I saw you had your hand raised and then you took it down. Feel free to raise it again. If not, if you want to chat, write it. Oh, there we go. Okay, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can we go back to the map of the potential areas for the humps and table, please?
Yes. And it should be up on the screen now, Julie.
Yes, I see that. Thank you. So would it be a subset of these or all of them?
So that would be a determination that the task force would need to make if they want to move forward with all of them, or if they want to change the plan. If they do decide to change the plan, then we would need to have another meeting.
So at this point, this is just the most likely locations?
This
Or
is the identified
favorable?
locations where we've identified that devices will fit, and that we've gotten sign off from those adjacent property owners.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
And I did want to note that the device furthest to the right on the map, closest to Telegraph Road, the speed table adjacent to 6704 and 6709. It is placed in a location, and the device type is designed so it can be converted to a raised crosswalk. So there is an ongoing project to extend a trail down this section of Newington Road to Telegraph Road, I believe. And it would need to cross over Newington Road at some point, and this would be the point where it would cross over if that comes into fruition.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Mhm. And so again, we really do recommend that we meet with the task force again to discuss the ballot process.
Hey, Julie, it sounds like you're still unmuted. If you don't mind muting again, that would be great. And then we have a thank you in from Sandy. You're welcome. And then I believe Chris is typing in. And as Ryan made mention that this meeting is being recorded, so those that have missed tonight's meeting or weren't able to make it, there will be a recording made available within a week or so. We'll provide a link to Diego when it's available. So if you have other people within the community that would like that recording within a week or so, we should have that made available. Okay, so Chris writes in, there is a proposal to add a hotel on Newington and Louisdale. Do they have a traffic study?
We would need to chase that down. I don't have any information on that right now. We will see if we can get some information on that. Diego, are you aware of this proposed hotel?
No, not at the moment. I'll go ahead and look into it as well. Feel free to send me an email. I'll type my email in the chat so then we can follow up on that particular item.
It should not affect our plans, so we should be able to move forward. I'm not positive what stage they're at, but we do plan on adding these devices in if it passes.
Okay, and thank you. And we have written in from Sandy. I live on, I'm sorry, Hyam. I don't know. I'm sorry for mispronouncing that road. And have a hard time getting off my street onto Newington, often due to volume of cars, as well as speeding through the neighborhood. Thank you for that comment. And then we have a couple hands raised. So Greg, you have your hand raised. Do you mind go ahead and unmute?
We'll be right out, Sure. Thank you very much for the presentation and for your work on this. We really appreciate it. I'm Greg Lyon, the head of the task force, and several other members are here as well. Trey Cody is here as well. And on the hotel, I know, so the background of the hotel, they're trying to change the comprehensive plan to change the zoning for a parcel that's on the other side of the single lane bridge. So that's very early stages. But we certainly would be concerned about traffic, but seems like we could move forward with this regardless. But just want to say thank you very much for your work on this. We really appreciate it, and be happy to set a meeting up with you about, with the task force about the ballot process down the road.
All right. Yeah, we will look for dates, and if we can do a daytime meeting, we can probably knock it out pretty quickly. during, normal work hours. It'd probably take about a half hour. We'd do it online, a couple of slides to run through, and then send the slide deck to you just to give you a little guidance on going through that ballot process.
Okay, that sounds good. I could get, kind of, we can gather questions for anyone who can't attend or something like that, and just kind of pose them all at once.
Yeah, and not everybody from the task force needs to attend.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Julie, you have your hand raised again. Go ahead and unmute.
Yes, I noticed when I drove through today, that area for the hotel, they're already doing site preparation. They're clearing their land.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and Dino, you have your hand raised. You can go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the presentation also. And this might be a question for the task force, I'm not sure, but has any consideration been given for any devices right off of Newington onto Accotink?
So, I mean, I can kind of address that. We did get a request to study Newington Road. We do need specific requests for different roads.
Okay.
Accotink wasn't requested. I'm not really sure we have enough room. We might have enough room to fit something there.
Just because over the years, that's a kind of a sharp turn.
Mm-hmm. At Hamilton?
Yeah. Well,
or at Newington?
Yeah. I've lived here for a little over 10 years. And over the years, we've had a number of vehicles end up in our yard because of speed and coming around that turn, trying to access Accotink to get the Telegraph north or southbound. So I was just wondering if any consideration was made for that. I know in the past there was a proposal for it, but they raised issues of emergency vehicles coming up and down Newington and accessing some of these other roads. That was one of their reasons for not. But if that's something maybe that could be looked at, that would be great.
Now, are you talking about putting a device on Accotink or
Right.
closer to the intersection of Accotink and Newington?
If you could see where the corner is, there's two homes adjacent from each other on Accotink. That's the spot is where I'm talking about. After you make that turn into Accotink.
Off of Telegraph?
Off of Newington.
Off of Newington. Yeah, I mean, that would be something that would need to be submitted to the supervisor's office, and we would do data collection on Accotink and see if it meets the qualifiers. Okay?
Thank you for that information. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. And Todd, I still see you have your hand raised. You can go ahead and unmute.
Actually, I don't know how to lower my hand, so.
Oh, okay. No, you're fine. I see also that you wrote in the chat that the time frame for install.
Yeah, are we talking weeks, months, years, decades? What? I've lived here for 30 years, and I've seen a lot of these studies come and go. So, I'm just kind of curious. I know we have to go through the balloting process, but assuming that takes a matter of months, then what? After that, is it a matter of how long does it take for VDOT to actually install these things and FCDOT?
Well, Nicole, this is your favorite question to answer.
So I would say months, just depending on how quickly the task force can get through to the balloting process. As stated, the balloting is open for a minimum of 3 weeks, and we usually like to give the task force a good cushion to be able to print and distribute to everyone in the neighborhood or in the community, in the ballot area. So that would probably take a month or so. If we do get the right number of yes votes, we would have to take it to the Board of Supervisors. So we would have to look for the next following board meeting date in order to take it as an admin item. So that could take another month or 2 months, just depending on when we get that notification if it's passed or not, and how quickly we can get a board item ready to go. So then after that, we would also have to get it approved through VDOT. That could take some time as well, maybe not a month, but several weeks or so for them to respond to that. And then once we get that all approved and endorsed, we go ahead and put in a request to the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services to install. And that could take up to 4 to 6 months, just depending. So that I would say the total after balloting would probably be 4 to 6 months. And weather dependent. So if this falls on winter, there's a certain time frame that asphalt cannot be laid on the ground. So if it does fall in within the winter season, it might have to be the next spring.
And how do these, I know in the past, like somebody else mentioned, there's always been concern with emergency vehicles, because I know Newington Road is a major corridor in the local fire department in Kingstown getting to I-95, responding to a lot of calls. Are they able to manipulate these speed humps and tables adequately?
Yeah, we generally anticipate about a 3 to 10 second delay per device. So it's kind of dependent on the vehicle going across it. If it's a ladder truck, it's probably a little bit longer. If it's an ambulance, a little bit shorter on that delay time, and also the device type. So somewhere between 3 to 10 seconds per device.
And to feed off of that, as Steve said, we do inform the fire and rescue group as we go through this process. And so they're made aware that we are taking a look and that road is qualified for traffic calming and that we're going through the steps. Typically, if they are concerned at all, they will reach out to us and let us know. But it's typically unless if it's a major thoroughfare for them, we typically don't see any kind of negative response on their side.
And one more quick question. I understand there's a new traffic light going in down at Cinderbed and Newington. I assume that would have an effect on the traffic flow as well through this corridor.
Yeah, I mean, it could impact, but I'm not positive it's going to elevate or, reduce the level of traffic coming onto Newington. Newington qualified, pretty, strongly with their volume. I mean, they didn't top out over the top qualifying bracket, but they were on a higher end as far as data that we collect.
Yeah, that number is higher than I expected, frankly, 4,900 cars.
It's a fair amount.
That is. All right, how do I unraise my hand?
So on that top bar where you unmute, there should be a hand symbol with, it just says raise, and you just click that again.
Okay. There we go.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have some comments written in. Julie, I see that your hand is raised. You can go ahead and unmute if you like. Oh, okay. I believe you still had your hand up.
Yeah,
from
I
earlier.
can't see whether my hand is raised or not on my
okay.
little box in the gallery.
Gotcha. Okay, no worries. So we have written in to the comments from Chris. I believe he's referring to Sandy's comment saying that, yes, that's a yes vote. Help us with neighbors. Gino, or Greg writes to Gino, we completely agree and we are happy to work with Acatink as well. And then there's a comment on here, 2 doors down would know about that. I guess that's just in between their conversation. And then Julie says, thank goodness for the new light. So no questions written in right now, and I don't see any hands raised. Okay, so Sandy, you have your hands raised. You can go ahead and unmute.
Oops, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Sorry. So I'm trying to understand where this light is gonna go. Is it at the bottom of the hill of Newington where we turn right onto Cinderbed right there? Or is it further down at the end, like towards the brewery? I don't get where the light is gonna be, I guess.
Yeah, we'll need help identifying. Diego, do you know where the proposed traffic signal is going? I'm assuming it's at the intersection, they said, of Cinderbed and Newington Road.
That's right.
Is that correct?
It is correct. It's down where all the traffic from the business district comes out.
Okay.
Oh, where they come out, like
Yeah,
further
yeah.
down where the school
Yeah,
bus.
it's mostly
Oh.
meant to monitor, to sort of control the flow going under that one-way bridge at rush hour. It really serves no purpose for our neighborhood that I can see.
Okay.
Are you
'Cause I was
talking
looking-
about, because the way the roads name and mix together, are you talking about the Cinderbed Newington intersection that immediately feeds into your community? Or are you
No.
talking about the northern one?
The northern one towards
Okay.
towards Fairwinds, as the question asked. Yeah.
It's confusing because there's two Cinderbed and Newington intersections
You
because
gotta
they're
like,
separate roads.
Northern Virginia and their naming schemes.
Yeah, they share that one block basically. They're
Correct,
both
yeah.
named.
It's something they do in multiple places. Gotta like that. Yeah, thank you for the clarification on that.
Thanks.
But completely unrelated to this project.
And that's even a little bit more removed too. It's,
Yeah.
so it might impact you guys' ability, your mobility going north there. I don't know if you go that way or
I
not.
see it as one more deterrent to taking this route to cut over to Telegraph. So, because it'll, the algorithms on Google or Maps or Waze or whatever are just going to slow it down. So they'll send people another way.
Okay, so we can leave it open for just a little bit more for questions or comments that you all might have. Ryan, if you want to go over to the info slide for people to contact, perfect. So here we have contact information for FCDOT. If you guys have any questions or anyone within the community has any questions to reach out to FCDOT, you can reach us by email as dotinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov. And write in the subject line Newington Road traffic calming, or you can call FCDOT at 703-877-5600. And also, and I'm sorry, it says Providence there on that slide. We'll make sure we get that corrected. But you can reach out to the Mount Vernon district at their email address at mtvernon@fairfaxcounty.gov. Subject line Newington Road traffic calming, or you can reach out to them by phone at 703-780-7518. And I believe Diego put his direct email in the chat as well. And Chris says, thank you all for your time and energy.
Okay, you're welcome. And again, we will get back regarding times for a follow-up meeting for the ballot process. And we do want to thank everybody for joining tonight. We had a very informative and robust interchange and conversation. So that's good. Helps keep the community informed. And we definitely, suggest that, you try to get the message out to your community that this ballot might be coming to them pretty soon. So doesn't hurt to, talk this up through this process. And I agree. Yes, Chris, you can distribute a flyer beforehand saying that it's coming. Okay. Well, looks like we might be finished for tonight, and I want to thank everybody for joining and have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.